So I've made my first mistake, and I thought I'd do a very quick video just to show what it was, and hopefully you'll avoid it. And I've heard from a few other people that they've made these mistakes as well. I didn't tighten this top attachment properly, so the build plate was loose in this direction, and what happened was, as it came up out of the reservoir, it slid forwards. Didn't fall off, because it can't fall off, because when you put the cover over, that actually gives it a limitation, so it's not going to fall off. So the worst didn't happen. It didn't come in and crack my screen, but it did mean that there's a big bend in the print, which is a bit frustrating because it took 5.5 hours and then I found out. So yeah, there's a lesson learned. Make sure to check your, everything is tight. Make sure to check this is absolutely level. Make sure to check there's no floaties in your tank. And the mistake I made was the really simple one, which is I didn't tighten that enough. So avoid that if you can. It's a very frustrating thing that can happen. So I thought the only mistake I'd made was that I had a slip in the print. I wish. So when I was cleaning after finishing up printing the Flintstones house, I took the resin reservoir off the printer and found that it was really hard to move, almost stuck. And then what I found when I got underneath the reservoir was, and I have cleaned this up since to make that clear, was resin. And you can see this is the area the resin covered. It was all the way here, it went all the way up to the edge there and round. It was quite thick in places here, particularly in here, and I panicked. Now I didn't get any of this on film because I was panicking and I wanted to clean it. And yeah, I wasn't sure whether it was cleanable or not. So what I did was I got a lot of alcohol, 100% alcohol, and a lint-free cloth like this. So this is one that you get with like cameras or with laptops or whatever. This is actually the one that I used. You can see it's dried a bit now. I got the plastic scraper that came with the kit, and I also got, and this is what ended up, it was a little bit of a combination of a few things that helped me to fix it, but I also got a very sharp X-Acto blade knife. So that. And I went along and I soaked it in alcohol, and then I basically did very gentle flicking motions like that. You can actually see that there's still some along the front here. And with very gentle motions, I was able to scrape and clean it mostly largely. Now I've not tried to print since this happened, just to say, and I probably will wait to, I'll probably show what happens maybe as a follow-up video actually, because I want to get this out as soon as possible as a learning exercise for everyone and to highlight what mistakes I've made. But I think probably that this part of the screen is particularly jiggered, and I think that I should be able to still print on the front corner. Now because of where I live and the delays I have in getting parts, I have actually already got a spare screen on order. However, this means I'm probably going to order a second spare. It takes weeks for things to get to me, so yeah, I want to have things in stock so that if I make a mistake and damage it, I'm not going to be paused. Now this will not put me off 3D printing. This was entirely my mistake. Let me quickly zoom out. Let me just highlight again what caused this. I did not tighten this. So I did not tighten this, which meant that the whole of this front of the plate could move. It could slide forwards. And that's what it did. It slid forward until it hit the front of the box that goes around it. And what that's meant is that resin has been able to drip down and get underneath the build plate. That, I'm sure, is what caused this leak. Now, what I'm going to be doing is testing my FEP to make sure that there isn't a hole in it, and making sure that there actually isn't a leak in the reservoir, but I'm pretty sure it's not because of when the because of the issue I had with the first issue I had, and also what actually had failed prints. Because if we have a look at the, actually let me just point the camera down. So this is the print that I did last. This is the last print. And it's the only print that has any real print problems. And you can see here, this has a big hole in it where it hasn't done. And if we can manage to see inside there, then you can, let me just check. Yeah, so you can see here that we have some failures on the print in the inside as well, all in roughly the same area. And so I'm pretty sure that this problem happened during the print before that one, which was the one that failed because of the slip. So yeah, there we are, there's a lesson learned. Make sure, double check everything. Make sure you check your levels on your build plate, which I'm pretty good at doing. But then when you put your build plate back on, tighten that top knob. Now I have some magnetic sheets. Thank you, Dewey, from the Guardians Hangout. You can join us in Discord, there's a link below, for the idea about getting the magnetic sheets. This means that I will no longer ever have to actually remove the build plate. I would just better remove the magnetic build thing which is attached to the build plate, and then take the print off of that. So this shouldn't happen, so that might be a top tip, and I'll pop a link below to what I've ordered. But anyway, there is a lesson learned. There is my first big mistake, which turned out to compound to an even bigger mistake, and I maybe need to be replacing that that screen at some point soon. I should be able to print everything that I need to in that front corner, so it shouldn't stop me once my new resin arrives. But I'll obviously do a follow-up video to this, showing what the results are, yeah, just check everything is tight. So I'll wrap that up there now. Thank you ever so much for watching. This adventure is going to be a massive learning curve for me, and I hope that these videos help encourage and support you in, if you are getting into 3D printing and you're nervous, because, well, I am. So yeah, I will wrap up as always by saying, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well. Since filming the last clip, I did another print, and I had another amount of resin get onto the screen underneath the reservoir, and I definitely didn't make the mistake with not tightening up the build plate that time. So that made me think that maybe it wasn't that caused this to happen, and maybe I've got a leak in my FEP. And I've contacted Elegoo Mars. Their customer service have been absolutely superb, which I've heard a lot from a lot of people, and I can add to that they are superb. And they also have suggested that I do a leak test. So what I've got here is a bit of a tray, it's like a baking tray. I've put some paper towel down so I can see any leaks, and I've sat the FEP on top of some Lego, because you need to have Lego as a hobbyist. Everyone needs to have some Lego. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour some water in, and then I'm going to leave it. I've got a couple of hours now I'm going to leave it for, because I've got to go and be family man. So put some water in that and just see if there's any leaks. So I will report back after I've finished being family man, and when I check myself what's happening, and I'll let you know. But this is obviously a learning process for me, and I hope that you're enjoying coming along with me on this and working out what mistake I've made and why I actually ended up with resin on my screen. I'm still waiting for my replacement screen to arrive. I think I will replace the screen, just because yeah, I don't want to be wasting resin, though I'm not sure. You will find out that when I make that decision, but at the moment I'm going to have to keep printing on the damaged screen. So I came back early in the evening to check this, and found that there was no leak when it was sat on top of the Lego. So I took it off the Lego and sat it flat on the paper, just wondering whether that would make a difference, and there's still no leak that I can see. I really am very confused. I really don't know what's going on. So yeah, I've no idea where that resin came from. I don't think it can have been caused by the initial mistake, because I didn't make that mistake the second time I found the resin. So what I'm probably going to have to do is just run a print. Not tonight, I'm absolutely knackered, I'm going to bed now. Just had a wonderful long chat with Tim, which was really good fun, painting and just chatting for a couple of hours, but it's bedtime now. So I'll probably have a look at it tomorrow, maybe run a print tomorrow, just a quick one, and just see whether resin appears or not, because this is absolutely clean now. There's actually a little bit of resin that's kind of like washed off of the FEP, and is floating in here, so I'll dry that totally, and then try a print tomorrow and see what happens. So yeah, that's the update on this mistake. I will, if I can come up with an answer as to what's happened, I'll put it in the video, or I may do a follow-up because this is now getting a bit long for these videos. But yeah, very, very confused, very strange, and I will hopefully get to the bottom of it soon. So there you are, I'm a bit confused. Quinn has suggested it could be a pinhole of a very, very tiny hole, which is only gapes when the pressure goes on with the build plate. So what I'm probably going to do is try another build and see what happens and clean it afterwards and hopefully not damage the screen anymore. So I will do a follow-up video, but I'm going to wrap that up now. This has got quite long for this series, not already. So if you've got any ideas, any suggestions, any tips, drop them below. I really am wanting to learn and I don't know what's causing this. So if you've got any ideas, let me know. And of course, I will update you when I find out what it is. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. I really appreciate every single one of you. And I do hope that you'll continue watching this series as I learn more and more about 3D printing. Anyway, let's wrap this up as I always do by saying please stay healthy, stay safe and stay well.